Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Green on the Greens. We are back after a week off. Last week's John Deere Classic. Davis Thompson gets the win. Cody, did you watch any of the John Deere Classic? I did not want to watch a second of it. I was on vacation.
I watched a little bit. I mean, it's not a tournament that I'm going to, consume every single golf shot that they show on TV or PGA Tour Live or anything like that. But, I caught Sunday. Davis Thompson kind of just running away with it there at the end. Like, he had a 2-stroke lead going into it and then just kept making birdies, which is what you had to do last week. Minus 28 being the winning score. Like, we talk about birdie fest. That's about as pure of a birdie fest as we're going to see.
Davis Thompson, who the last week that we did a show, so the week before that, was your pick to win at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. You told me earlier today you did not bet him to win this week, even though he finished T2 the week before. You did bet him top 10, though, but you missed out on your guy, Davis Thompson. So I feel like you've bet on it a couple times this season. You missed out betting on his outright to win this past week.
I mean, that just kind of fits into what my year has been in golf betting. But hey, it is. I'm not sure what the right word is, but it is, I guess, comforting. It's comforting to know that what I've seen with Davis Thompson has been real. Like, it's not just something I'm, missing or not seeing with him. Like, he's been trending towards this for a while.
Our last show was for the Rocket Mortgage Classic with me being on vacation last week. Let's just not even go ahead and recap our picks because I think that might have been the worst week specifically for me that I've ever had betting on a PGA Tour event. So we're just gonna, we were off last week. Little refresh because we were hot before the Rocket Mortgage Classic. Let's get back to being hot this week. It's the Scottish Open, the UK swing of the PGA Tour schedule. Obviously, Scottish Open this week, the Open Championship next week. Also, we have the LPGA, their fourth major of the season, which I don't even think should be a major, but the Evian Championship, I got a pick for that. I'll give it on the show. And also, the two of us have a pick for, is it the ISCO or is it the ISCO Championship?
I have no idea. It's one of those things. It's always going to be the Barbasol for me because that's what it was for like 7 years. And so that's, in case you're wondering what the hell the ISCO Championship is, it's the Barbasol.
Yes. Yeah. So we each have a pick for that as well. I do need to, we're not going to recap our picks from the Rocket Mortgage because it was disastrous, but I do need to mention that I have officially won our closest to the win competition. Neil Shipley bringing me home the win with a top 20, a T20 finish. Which gives me the 13-5 lead in close to the win. And with, I think, only 6 shows left for the season for us, that's it. That does it. You can't come back. So we'll still give out our close to the win picks for people who want those, complete long shots over 100-1 odds or longer. If you want to bet it in top 20 or top 30, top 40, we'll still give out those picks, but the competition is done with 6 events to go. So you owe me a round of golf. When I go back to Canada next month, I'll be golfing a few times, so I'll charge one of those rounds to you, my friend.
Sounds good. It's a fair bet, and you kicked my ass fair and square. So here we are.
You won the last time we did this, so we are now 1-1 overall for close to the win. So rubber match next year. But let's get into it because, like I said, we have a lot to get through here. Scottish Open and 2 other events, so we're going to start as always with our top 20 picks for this week's Scottish Open. Cody, who do you got?
I'm going with Sebastian Soderberg, which, if that name sounds familiar, that would be the guy who absolutely choked the ever-loving life out of the Scandinavian Mixed, where he had, I believe, like
this
a 4.
Guy? Oh,
yeah.
No.
I believe it was like a 4 or 5 stroke lead he had going into like the back 9 and just completely like lost the plot of how to play golf and ended up finishing runner-up there. But overall, on the DP World Tour, Sebastian Soderberg has been playing some fantastic golf this year. He WD'd in his last event, which does worry me slightly, but he has one finish worse than T3 in his last 5 starts outside of that WD. And the one that was outside of there was the PGA Championship. He finished T68, so he did make the cut there. He's been playing really good golf, really spiking on approach. And one of the things about looking at the Scottish Open and the Renaissance Club is it's very links golf heavy, and with the wind and with all of the factors, like it's really hard to handicap. Like it's hard to find like sticky stats. Like a lot of it is just tee to green play and how you're striking the ball. And Sebastian Soderberg has been striking the ball really, really well. He's been gaining with the putter. I think the fact that he's just a DP World Tour guy and doesn't play a lot on the PGA Tour, we're getting some value at plus 320 for a top 20. So with the way he's striking the ball, with him gaining with the putter recently, I like that play as a top 20. It's a little bit of a swing here.
Yeah, I like it. And the good thing with the top 20 is you don't need to worry about him missing like a 2 foot putt on the 18th to blow an outright bet. Instead, top 20, pretty safe there, pretty good odds there, plus 320 as well. So yeah, I like that play. I'm going to go with the European as well here. I'm going to go with a guy who was very hot to start the season. Then he sucked for a while, and now he might be kind of rounding back into form. That is Matthew Pavon. I'll take him at plus 240 to finish in the top 20 this week. And once again, we say it every week, but these odds are all ties are paid out in full. So just if you want to check your sportsbook rules, I know of the kind of the big ones, BetMGM is one that certainly pays all their ties out in full. So that's why you might see it like at DraftKings. These odds will be a little bit longer, but those dead heat rules apply, and nothing stings more than winning a bet when dead heat rules apply, and you only get a partial payout. So I'll go plus 240 for Pavon to finish in the top 20, ties included. Like I said, very strong start to the PGA Tour season. We all know this. T7 at the Sony Open. He won the Farmers Insurance, solo third at the Pebble Beach. Then he sucked for a while. He actually finished T12 at the Masters, which I didn't really remember happening. But T12 at the Masters, then he sucked for a while. But now his last two starts, solo fifth at the U.S. Open, T16 at the Travelers, gained significant strokes with his approach play in both those starts. So now he might actually be rounding back into form. Now, he did miss the cut of the Scottish Open last year. He finished T36 in 2022. So not a great history at this course, but I like the fact that he could be kind of rounding back into form. He could just be a hot and cold golfer that we need to watch here for the next number of years. So if we can, get him on an upswing here, plus 240 for a top 20 bet, I think is a pretty good look.
No, I like it a lot. I mean, I think you're absolutely right. I think he is a hot and cold guy. And I think you see that round to round, honestly. Like, I think at the U.S. Open, we saw that a little bit. Like, there were some rounds where he was like, everything that you wanted to see on approach and everything you wanted to see at Pinehurst, like he was on it. And then there were other ones where he was just trying to like scotch tape it back together. Like it was, so I think that might be the type of player he is, but at Links Golf, that could play very well here. And again, top 20, we're not getting too aggressive with it. So I like that.
All right, moving on to top 10. You got a guy who I think, a few of our bets coming up are some popular bets. I think this guy is the most tipped golfer that I saw this week. I looked at him. I got one thing that kept me away from him. So go ahead and break it down.
Yeah, so it's Tom Kim, who the last time I bet on him, I believe, was when he finished runner-up and lost in the playoff in the Travelers. Yes. I had him as the outright that week. Yep. So that was that stung just a little bit. That's 2 runner-up finishes in the past month that I've had outrights on. But Tom Kim for a top 10. Look, his history here is short but quite good. He's had two trips here, and he's finished T6 last year and then was solo third in 2022. So history here is phenomenal. Both of those would obviously cash a top 10 bet. His last start was a miscut, and everyone's going to look at that and say, oh, he missed his cut after in like his hot run that he was on, his trending that he wasted at the Travelers by not converting and winning in the playoff. He had played 9 weeks in a row going into the Rocket Mortgage Classic when he missed it, and he was quite popular that week because of how well he'd been playing, and the 9 weeks looked like it just caught up to him. He shouldn't have played that week, but he got that weekend off. He got last week off, didn't play at the John Deere, so I think he's probably going to come to Scotland, be refreshed, have like a little bit of what we saw from Tom Kim, and what we've seen from him is just damn good golf. He lost in the playoff at the Travelers, finished T4 at the RBC Canadian Open, and in my research, one of the things I found, Hamilton Country Club and the Renaissance Club, the leaderboards kind of match up they're not identical golf courses, but the leaderboards kind of match up very nicely with one another. So the fact that he was top 5 at the RBC Canadian Open, that's something I really like to see from here. His approach play has been phenomenal. Gained 4.35 strokes or more on approach and gained 2.38 strokes driving in 3 of his previous 4 starts prior to the Rocket Mortgage. He's also gained in putting, gained with the putter in 4 of his last 5. I think Tom Kim is just playing some of the best golf of his young career right now, and he's coming to a place where he has 2 top 6 finishes and 2 starts. So for a top 10, getting over better than 2-to-1 odds, that was too good for me to pass up.
Yeah, I think the only thing that would keep people away is that last start. So, that's a good point that he had played 9 straight weeks heading into that. I did not know it was 9 straight weeks, so that is a little bit forgivable. That is the thing that kept me away from betting on Tom Kim, was that last start, because it wasn't necessarily just the fact he missed the cut. He missed he lost quite a bit of strokes with his approach play, which is concerning a little bit. But hey, if you want to look at it and say that was a 9 straight start, week after a heartbreaking playoff loss, I wouldn't argue too much against that. But that is what kept me away from personally betting on him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly surprised he didn't just WD after the playoff loss, and with how many weeks he'd played in a row. Like, it felt like he honestly shouldn't have played.
Yeah. All right, my top 10 pick is a guy who's 80-1 to win this week. I'm just going to bet him. I did sprinkle a little at 80-1. I don't love that. I like it a lot more. I think this is how you want to play this guy. Top 10 plus 550. Denny McCarthy.
Oh yeah.
Top
Okay.
10 plus 550. Had a great start last week, T7 at the John Deere Classic. He's played some pretty consistently solid golf of late, finishing inside the top 40 now in 5 straight starts. One thing that I think I saw here about the Renaissance, 5 par 3s. Is that correct?
I believe so, yeah.
He ranks second on the PGA Tour in par 3 scoring average. So if there's a type of course I think you want to bet on Denny McCarthy at, it's this type of course. Like I said, second in par 3 scoring average. He's the second best putter on the PGA Tour in strokes gained putting. And if this event comes down to who can sink the most putts, which it might if we see a little bit of wind pick up on the weekend, this is the kind of guy I want to bet on. So I did personally sprinkle on him to win at 80-1. That's aggressive. I don't actually think he's going to win this week. I just thought maybe that there's a bit of value. I think if you actually want to bet on Denny McCarthy, I think a top 10 for plus 550 is a pretty decent bet.
So my one pushback, and this is something that I'm going to have in my handicapping later, is Denny McCarthy's biggest weapon is the putter. And and like, there's no question about that. He might be the best putter, like, over the last 5 years on the PGA Tour.
Yep.
But the thing about the Renaissance Club, these are probably the slowest greens that we're going to see all year. I believe I read that they're running a 9 on the stimp meter. And for reference, like on an average PGA Tour event, we're talking 11.5 to 12. So these are substantially slow greens, largely because of what you mentioned with the wind. Like, they don't want the ball rolling off when the wind starts picking up if it starts gusting in Scotland. Right. But I do wonder if those slow greens could hurt Denny McCarthy, who tends to putt well on PGA Tour greens on faster greens. So, like, that would be my one thing. But at the same time, like, I can't argue with the way you handicapped it. Like, I don't hate the pick. That's just, like, the one thing that would worry me about Denny McCarthy.
Yeah, great point. Slower greens, you would think generally would even the playing field a little bit amongst all putters, but also maybe it just gives him an opportunity to sink literally every single putt that he hits.
It's true. And I mean, like, it could go either way. So that's why, like I said, I don't hate the pick. It's just one of those, it's one thing that would keep me off of him.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's move on to top 5. You mentioned earlier that you've seen some similar leaderboards between the Canadian Open and the Scottish Open, and your top 5 pick is someone who has played well both in Canada and at the Scottish Open.
Yep, and that's Tommy Fleetwood. And his Scottish Open success at the Renaissance Club, it's Tom Kim, except with even more history. So he was T6 last year, tied with Tom Kim. He was T4 in 2022, 1 spot behind Tom Kim. Year prior, he was T26, and he was runner-up in 2020. So he has just dominated this place. And that's, and we're talking about a top 5 bet at plus 350. He's cashed that 50% of the time over the 4 times that he's played this tournament at the Renaissance Club. On top of that, his form seems to be trending towards him having a really high-end finish, potentially contending. I mean, this is technically a DP World Tour event, so it would be quite serendipitous for Tommy Fleetwood to win this week because, he doesn't win on the PGA Tour, but he does win on the DP World Tour, so let's go out there and get it. But he's gained 7.2 strokes ball striking, or he gained 7.2 strokes ball striking at Travelers, and he's gained at least 2.3 strokes with his ball striking in his last 5 starts. He also hasn't finished worse than T26 since the start of May. So he's just playing really solid golf. There haven't been a lot of high-end finishes, but we've seen this with Tommy Fleetwood. Whenever he does that and he's just reeling off top 20 after top 20 after top 20, he normally has a big finish looming. This is a place where he's played well, another place where he has good feels. So I think that a top 5, maybe even a win. I'm sprinkling on him outright as well. So I really like Tommy Fleetwood this week.
Sprinkling on him outright. I used to be a huge Tommy Fleetwood guy. He was kind of my Xander Schauffele. I guess, was it before Xander Schauffele, or maybe I started betting on them both at the same time. But at some point over the past couple of years, I just said enough's enough. I'm done betting on Tommy Fleetwood. So maybe top five's the way to go. I do objectively like the pick, but I glaze over Tommy Fleetwood's name when I go to place bets nowadays.
I get it. And I mean, the sprinkling on the outright, that's not something I would advise because, again, he is a notorious inability to win. Like you betting Cameron Young a couple weeks ago. That's how things go. Cameron Young breaking his driver on the 13th tee for no real good reason. Great stuff.
Yeah. All right, my top 5 pick is a guy who I had a ton of expectations for heading into this season. He hasn't really lived up to those expectations, but he has played well heading into this event, and he's won this event before. So I'm going to take Min Woo Lee to finish in the top 5 at 5-1 this week. I said earlier that there are some guys that we're betting on are some of the more popular picks this week. I think Tom Kim is the most tipped pick. I think Min Woo Lee might be the second most tipped pick. But it makes sense, especially when you're looking at a guy who's previously won this event. He's always played well on link-style golf courses. Like I said, has not quite lived up to expectations on the PGA Tour so far this season. But he did finish T2 at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. And he's also finished T26 or better now in 6 straight starts dating back to the Masters. So he has, over the past few months, started to play some more consistent golf. And now that he heads back to an event that he's already won, he's going to feel comfortable at this course. He's in good form. I think that's good enough for a top 5 bet for Min Woo Lee.
Love this one. I gave Min Woo a hard look because one of the things that worries me about Min Woo Lee generally, like on a general PGA Tour course, is his approach play is not necessarily at an elite level. It can spike, but it's not consistently anything special to write home about. Links golf, that kind of goes by the wayside, especially when you're talking about slow greens. Slow greens typically means receptive greens as well. So I think this could really play to Min Woo Lee's strength. So I like this play a lot.
All right, let's move on to our best bets to win the Scottish Open. Cody, I have an issue with this one. We might have to have an intervention with you sooner rather than later, because this is and I pasted this pick the exact same way that you wrote it to me, which is Ludwig Aubert for the 100th time, because you have bet on this guy a million times this season, and he has yet to win for you, but you're back on him again this week at 16-1.
Yeah, he's really good at golf. I don't know if you know that, but like he's really good at golf. And like when you're really good at golf, you know what tends to happen? Eventually you're going to win one. And
eventually, but it might take 5 years like it did for me with Xander Schauffele.
It's true. It's very true. But one of the things, so I'm not even going to go, if you've listened to the show before, you know all that I'm going to say about Ludwig Aubert. Like, he's one of the best drivers on the PGA Tour. His approach play over the past 6 months has been elite, like one of the best in the world. His putting has been solid. The one worry has been his around the green play. Well, we've seen link style golf kind of eliminate that a little bit. We saw Victor Hovland at St. Andrews a couple years ago when his short game still wasn't where it like eventually progressed to in 2023. He actually contended at that major because you can kind of skirt the short game a little bit. The other thing is, when I look at Ludwig Aubert's short game, the one thing that typically worries me is he tends to race a lot of putts, a lot of chips by the hole pretty substantially. When we have these greens running at a 9 on the stimp meter, I'm a little bit less concerned about that. I think his aggressive style will play a lot better at this course than it does at a lot of other places. You combine that with the ball striking, where he's going to be able to take advantage of the longer holes on this course. He has the approach play to attack the par threes. He has everything else in there. And when you have that, something that I think is going to mitigate his short game shortcomings, I do think this is a place that really plays into his strengths. He actually opened at 18-1, so I'm not the only one betting on Ludwig this week. Like, he is going to be a popular outright pick, but I'm just on it. Like, I think that this is the type of place where he can contend. And we've also seen typically this event tends to be won by a European. That's what we've seen pretty consistently over the past few years. So like, I think he fits that mold as well. So when I go to the Scottish Open and I look at Ludwig, I'm kind of ignoring Rory because I don't know what scar tissue is there from the US Open. Obviously he's last year's champion at this event. So I go down the board a little bit and I see Ludwig and I just can't look away.
The Swede returns to Europe for the first time since August and September of last year, and in that stretch, he finished T4. He won the Omega European Masters and then T10 at the BMW Championship. The thing that would point out to me the most, though, with Ludwig is he did compete in this event last year and missed the cut. Does that concern you at all?
It does not, because he was an amateur then, and we've seen that since he turned professional, things have quite changed for him.
Fair enough. I am a little concerned that in 5 years' time, hopefully we're still doing the show and you'll be picking Ludwig for literally the 100th time and still will have not have given you an outright win. Is that a concern of yours?
Oh, of course. It's always a concern, especially with how this year has trended. Why not just extend it to 5 years? Why not?
Because you are starting to sound like me a few years ago talking about Xander. Now, Xander had some wins, but he never won when I bet on him. But it was the same thing. Like, oh, his stats are so good. When you're this good, you're going to eventually win. I got to keep betting on him. And he did eventually win for me at the PGA Championship, but it took 5 years and I lost a lot of bets along the way. Now, I know Ludwig has won some events, but not a big one with the best golfers in the world competing in it. And I'm not saying I'm, raising the red flag yet, but this is starting
it's a
to
yellow flag.
Yeah, it's a yellow flag. You're betting on him a lot.
I know. And I'm fully aware of that. But hey, are the best golfers in the world here? Scotty Scheffler's not playing. So what are we even talking about?
Fair. Yep. DeChambeau not playing.
Exactly. So
all right, speaking of which, my pick to win, Xander Schauffele. No, I'm just kidding. It's not Xander. Not betting on Xander this week. I actually already tweeted out who my pick is here. Just a little personal story. I suck at golf. I decided to finally go get lessons for the first. I started golfing like 8 years ago. I stink. I was self-taught, but I was playing a lot where like I could just shoot in the mid 90s, and I was happy with that. Since moving to New York, my golf game completely fell apart. The past year when I play, it's like as if I've never picked up a club before. It was a disaster. When got golf lessons, started getting them a few months ago. I've come to find out that it's not good if you're right-handed but you golf left. And if you pick up golf later on in your life and you start swinging left, even though you're right-handed, a lot of problems can happen. One of the things that has fixed my swing a little bit the past couple of weeks, which my coach advised me to do, was I started wearing a glove on my left hand. So I have joined the I've become a double glove bandit. So now I have a soft spot for the double glove bandit himself, and I'll be betting on him this week, Aaron Rye. He wears 2 gloves. He puts covers on his irons. I haven't gotten to that point, but if my swing starts getting even better, then maybe I'm going to start putting covers on my irons too. I might just become like an Aaron Rye super fan. The second glove, I don't know why he wears 2 gloves. I doubt it's that he needs more grip with his left hand, which is why I started wearing the second glove. But it has almost completely fixed my swing. So I'm an Aaron Rye guy. I'm part of the double glove gang, and I'm going to bet on him 45-1 to win this week. He's obviously a popular pick, but I mean, look at his form. T14 at the Canadian Open, T19 at the US Open, and I can't think of a course that fits his game less than Pinehurst. And he still finished T19, T2 at the Rocket Mortgage Classic, T7 last week. Now he gets to a course where he's won before. He won this event a few years ago, and it makes a lot of sense because this course is almost like a picture-perfect course for him. You don't want to bet on him when there's a lot of long par 5s. Hey, you know what? When would be a nice time to bet on him? When you toss in a 5th par 3 like the Renaissance Club does. So I think a lot of reasons to like Aaron Rye this week. There's a reason why he's a very popular pick this week. He's in good form. He's returning to a course that he's won at before. It's a great course fit. 27th on the PGA Tour in par 3 scoring, which is big. So yeah, I'm going to go with Aaron Rye. Popular pick, but I like him at 45-1. The double glove bandit himself.
I mean, I don't know how anyone could hate this pick. He's been in the final group on Sunday in the past 2 tournaments. So like that tells you everything you need to know about the form that Aaron Rye is in. But can he close it out? I mean, he's obviously won this tournament before, so if he can close it out anywhere, it's probably a place he's won before.
Yep.
One of my favorite double glove bandit facts, though, is I believe it was actually at Pinehurst or at least another event. It was raining, and he doesn't wear gloves in the rain, which is when you would think you might. It's the most mind-boggling thing I've ever seen. I'm like, because you're so used to seeing him with double gloves, and that stands out in itself. But then you get in the rain, and everyone else is putting on the double rain gloves, and he was not wearing any gloves. It was the wildest thing I've ever seen.
That is insane. My golf coach my swing coach actually talked about Aaron Rye, and he told me that Aaron Rye literally never, not once, goes for it in 2 on par 5s. And I was like, that's insane. You're telling me he literally never tries to get to the green in 2 on a par 5? And he said, no. I looked it up. Not necessarily true, but he is like 3rd or 4th last on the PGA Tour and going for the green on a par 5 with his second shot. Let me see. I'm going to bring it up here.
I know at the Rocket Mortgage, he did it with a driver off the deck.
There you go. It's actually, 102nd out of 175th. So, hey, my golf coach has helped me a lot. He was just incorrect about that, though. He goes for it 58.82% of the time. I was like, so he goes for it 0% of the time. He's like 0%. He literally never does.
Literally has never gone for it.
Just simply incorrect. But hey, he got me onto the double glove thing, and it's like almost solely completely fix my swing. I need more grip in my left hand since I'm right-handed. So yeah, I like Aaron Rai, the double glove bandit. Yeah, like you said, there's no argument you can really make against it.
No, not at
Especially
all.
45-1.
Oh yeah, 45-1 is great value considering how he's been playing.
All right, let's move on to closest to the win. Like I said, a competition has already been won here, but we're going to keep going. For those of you who are new, we each pick a golfer who's at least 100-1 odds or longer to win. Whichever golfer finishes further up the leaderboard, we get a point. That part of the competition's over. So basically, we're just going to give out some golfers who have at least 100-1 odds to win that you can bet on if you want to do, a cheap option for a DFS lineup or a top 30, top 40 type of bet. Here are a couple names that you can use here. So who do you got?
Yeah, I've got Seamus Power, 125-1. Didn't go real deep on the handicap, but just liked a few things that I saw. He's been T27 or better in three of his last 4 starts. He gained 6.6 strokes with his ball striking last week at the John Deere, and he's been a positive punter over his last 12 rounds. That's really all I need to see. Is a guy who we've seen pop before on the PGA Tour and just kind of goes hot and cold. He's, a very, as other shows in the golf space would call him, he's a mule. He's a PGA Tour mule. He just plays every week and tries to keep his card. He's that type of guy, but I think he is heading to a place that should suit him well with how he's hitting the ball right now.
Yeah, I like it. I actually was tempted to go Irishman versus Irishman and take Padraig Harrington. I did not.
Oh, nice.
I did not. I'm going to go 100% narrative driven here, and I think he's actually had some decent starts lately. But I've already won the competition, so I'm going to get a little crazy. I'm going to go narrative driven here. Do you know who I'm going to go? 250-1.
I have no idea.
What guy has a chip on his shoulder heading into this week?
I don't know. Rory McIlroy.
Hughes Luton. Is that how you pronounce
yes. Sure, I have no idea.
The Dutch guy who made the Olympics, the Dutch team said, "Nuh-uh, you're not good enough and have no chance to win. We're not sending you to the Olympics." He then appealed the decision. It got reversed, but then he went back to the Olympic Committee, and I think they gave his spot to someone else or something. So then he got denied again. So he's been denied a spot in the Olympics twice, even though he did meet the criteria. He should have got in. So he's got to be pissed. He's got to be as motivated as ever. Now his stats are not great. He did finish T15 at the KLM Open in June. Finished T13 at the Volvo China Open in May. T11 back-to-back in the last 2 DP World Tour events in March. So he's had some some top 20 finishes on the DP World Tour heading back to March. So sure, Hughes Luton. I'm going pure narrative this week.
Hey, I like it. And also, let's just talk about the insanity of the Netherlands, having that decision be that, oh, you're not good enough to play.
Yeah. Insane.
Do we remember who 2 of the medalists were at the last Olympics, where we had Rory Sabatini and CT Pan on the freaking podium? Right. I'm pretty sure Juice Luton can get up there and make it happen.
Especially because of the way that the golfers are decided. There's some of the best golfers in the world won't be teeing it up. Like Bryson DeChambeau, most notably, won't be teeing it up. Only 4 Americans are going to be teeing it up. And a lot of the other countries that are sending golfers, the golfers are golfers I've never heard of, and they all stink. So that was a crazy decision. And Hughes Luton has Olympic, I think he was T27 or something at the Rio Olympics. He represented them in the Olympics before. And then it got overturned, and then the Olympic said, too late, we gave your spot to someone else. So bad luck. Brutal.
He needs to go the Rory Sabatini route and just get dual citizenship somewhere and compete for a country that actually wants him to play golf.
Marry someone from a different country, convert to that nationality, make the Olympic team because of that, and then win what did he win? Silver? I think he was silver.
Yeah, Sabatini was silver, and then CT Pan won that 7-man playoff for bronze.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, wild. All right, so there you go. That is it for the Scottish Open. Let's quickly touch on the ISCO or ISCO Championship, formerly the Barbasol Championship. I don't know if it's ISCO or ISCO. ISCO sounds better. Who do you got to win this? The guy who you picked is a guy who I was gonna pick, but then I switched at the last second, so I'm glad one of us is on him. Which I think I said last time you picked him, which was a couple weeks ago.
I did, and he missed the cut at the Rocket Mortgage when I did pick him to finish in the top 10. That's Michael Thorbjornsen. We had a extensive discussion over how to spell his last name when we were giving out these picks to one another pre-show. But a guy who just came out of college at Stanford and is now on the PGA Tour, finished T2 last week at the John Deere Classic. But looking back at the Barbasol, or now the ISCO or ISCO, whatever you want to call it, over the past 3 years, it's kind of seemed like longer hitters have had a real advantage at this tournament. It seems like being able to just kind of bomb and gouge it is very much in play. That's Michael Thorbjornsen's game. He can absolutely hit the piss out of the ball off the tee. Already, creeping up there. As soon as he qualifies, he's going to be near the top of PGA Tour driving distance. He absolutely hits the piss out of it. But he's also been he gained on approach last week very substantially. He's been gaining around the green as well, been putting decently. And so I think like in terms of pure raw talent, there's not many guys who can really rival him in this field. It says a lot that him and Luke Clinton, who is still an amateur at Florida State, are the two favorites in this field. Yeah. So I think Michael Thorbjornsen's talent is just going to outshine the rest of this alternate event, this alternate field.
Yeah, story of the tournament is definitely Luke Clinton. The amateur is the betting favorite. That's how strong this field is. It's first amateur to finish top 10 in back-to-back events on the PGA Tour since 1958. Now he is on a third straight event, and he's the betting favorite at 11-1, which is crazy.
Absurd. And it's a huge gap too. Like Clinton's at like 11-1, Thorbjornsen is at 14-1, and I think it goes to like 28-1 or something like that.
Chan came at 28-1, and then coming in at 30-1 is my pick, Mac Meisner.
My guy.
At 30-1. Your guy, Cody. I'm taking him this week. Listen, it's kind of tough to handicap this event because no real golfers are that good. This is the guy who, in my opinion, has kind of been in competition the most, or at least contended the most this season. T10 finish at Valero Texas Open, T5 at Charles Schwab Challenge. Coming off a strong T20 finish last week. I mean, not great at the John Deere Classic, but he did gain plus 1.08 true strokes on the field with his approach play. So he had a good event with his irons, if you can carry that over into this week. I mean, at 30, I like the top two guys, Luke Clayton and Thorbjornsen at 11. I just don't like their price tags right now. In an event that's most likely going to be completely wide open, I don't really want to bet on an amateur at 11-1 or a guy making his third or fourth start at 14-1. I'm going to go a little bit further down the odds list. I think Meisner kind of is the first guy that jumps off the page with value to me at 30-1.
I think that makes complete sense. And like I said, he is my guy. Like the way he can get hot striking the ball, he's a decently long hitter. I think he averages a little over 300 yards per drive, but he's also accurate with that. I think he hits like 60s, like high 60s percentage of his fairways, really high on greens and regulation. Like he's the type of player who can come into this event where obviously the talent just really isn't there top to bottom and kind of separate himself.
Yeah. All right, and then there's an LPGA major this week. LPGA, like the PGA, had 4 majors, and then Evian basically just paid to have their tournament become a major, so that now they have 5 majors. So it is technically a major. Hardcore golf fans don't respect it as a major, but it is a major nonetheless. In France, the Evian Championship. Nelly Korda down to 10-1 to win. She's still the betting favorite, but I don't think enough people are talking about this story. Nelly Korda, who seemingly won every single week, has all of a sudden missed 3 straight cuts. So no, I will not be betting on Nelly Korda as the favorite at 10-1, although maybe now is kind of the time to buy low on her. Instead, I'm going to take the second favorite. I'm going to take this golfer to win her first major of her career. She's long overdue. Ataya Titikul at 12-1. She's not only is she in fantastic form, great history at the event as well. She's finished inside the top 10 the last 4 times she has teed it up at this course. I think she actually deserves to be the betting favorite this week. She is statistically one of the best golfers on the LPGA this season, and she's coming off a victory. She won the team event alongside Ruyo Ning Yin, and she has finished in the top 8 in 5 of her last 6 starts. So fantastic form, fantastic course history. She's long overdue to finally win a major. I'll take Ataya Titikul at 12-1. I do have a long shot if you want instead. Mao Saigo, the Japanese lady at 35-1. She's a pretty good look as well. She's been playing extremely good golf lately. T7 at the Women's PGA Championship, T21 of the ShopRite LPGA Classic. In both of those starts, she gained over 5.5 strokes in the field with her irons. She finished T8 with Yu Jin Sung at the Dow Championship, the team event 2 weeks ago. So she's peaking. And also she finished T3 at this event in 2022. So kind of a similar handicap, great form and great course history. But if you don't want to bet 12-1 on the Ataya Titikul, if you want someone with, a little bit of a bigger payout, Mao Saigo, 35-1 is a little bit of a dark horse bet there for you.
Yeah, I full disclosure, I did not realize that the Evian was this week, so I do not have a pick. But I do. I'm kicking myself a little bit because of that, because this is actually, to me at least, one of the probably the easiest major to handicap.
Yeah.
They play it at the same course every year, so that course history is very sticky. It is a challenging golf course, like a lot, like you said, a lot of golf major golf nerds or architecture nerds don't really care for the course. It's not my favorite course. Like, it's not a course I would want to play, but like I do think exactly what it demands. So like if you played well here before, I think Titicool is a very smart pick in that regard.
And if you look at course form, it's like the same golfers play well here. Like
Mhm.
Jin Young Ko is the third golfer I'm betting on. I guess I'll just give you that pick. But she won this event in 2019, eighth in 2022. Brooke Henderson won it 2 years ago, second place last year. Nelly Korda top 10 the past 2 years. When you kind of look at recent form, it's kind of lines up. It's kind of the same golfers every single year. So yeah, that'll be interesting. Not a major I really care about, but it is a major nonetheless. So I'm due for an LPGA win. I keep betting on ladies who finish one stroke off the win. So let's see if we can get a win home here.
Yeah, you're knocking on the door way too much. Much like Ludwig Aubert, you are knocking on the door way too much and playing too well to not win one.
And on that note, let's wrap it up. We'll be back next week for the final men's major of the season, the Open Championship at Royal Troon.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be a fun one. We'll see if Brian Harman goes back to back. I doubt it. And then we're kind of in the final stretch of the golf season. The women's final major will be the Women's British Open in a few weeks. And then we're kind of into the FedEx Cup, and then that'll be it. So, Cody, any final thoughts?
No, man, the Scottish Open's fun. The Renaissance Club is a fun golf course to watch. And, it really it gets your sleep schedule right before the Open Championship, so we can get prepared for that.
Yep, absolutely. It's a fun one. I'll, even though I didn't bet on him, I'll be rooting for Bobby Mack. One stroke off last year when he was trying to win be the first Scot to win the Scottish Open since Colin Montgomery in 98 or 99. So if all my bets lose, then it'll be Robert McIntyre that I'll be rooting for. Let's see.
Yeah. Do you remember that the shot that Rory hit to beat him last year? That 2-iron that he oh my gosh, dude, that's one of the most ridiculous shots I've seen in golf over the past year.
Yeah, crazy. The Renaissance Club put a plaque in the ground, which started an argument on social media today whether or not you should be putting a plaque in the ground for a winning shot with a 2-iron. I don't see any issue with it. Some people think that it should only be for a major. Some people think it's a stupid idea every time. So,
some people think everything's stupid, and
fact.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll be back next week for the Open Championship. Best of luck with all your bets this week. Gamble or bless. Bye.